We done with the builds? Come on, we must be done with those builds.
Yeah.
Okay, good news. We are done with the build. I think we're done with Android. I don't think we're done with iOS. So yeah, Android. So iOS is queued up, but that's fine. We can test with Android. It's all good. So I'm going to click open with Orbit. It's going to download the builds. Okay. So we already have our phone running. So that should come through on this phone afterwards. So I'll wait for it. Let's see, where is Orbit at? So go into our little helper. Orbit, it's installing it. As you can see, it's now bundling it, and we should get past the error screen. I think the clipboard might break it. I hope not. Damn it! I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Okay, but if we dismiss it, hopefully we can still get past that. All right, guys. So yeah, you've seen the pattern here, right? You have to, for God's sake, we need to create a build for it here. So. Okay, so we've screwed up somewhere as well, guys. So here, tabs, we have, oh, it's fine. Index ID, join, okay. Alright, so we have one issue there, which is interesting. However, if I'm honest, I think this is happening because we haven't got the build set up correctly. So, sucks, but let's do that. So I'm going to cancel this build, and we're going to spin up another build. Okay, so yes, it requires a tremendous amount of patience. It does, but trust me, once you've installed your main dependencies, it's not like you're installing dependencies every time. So for everyone, it's a little bit different depending on your Java version, for Android, all that stuff. So okay, let's carry on. So in the meantime, we're going to build the rest of the app out with using our designs, and then we're basically gonna, once it's all done, we're gonna debug and get it up. Okay, so we've done this screen. We've actually done this screen. Now when we basically let's go to our join. All right, once that's done, it will push us from this screen to this screen. We haven't got this pop-up yet, so we could do that. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so when we go to the ID screen, adding that's easy, right? After we join an existing call, all we have to do is show a toaster. So yeah, so after we set the call, or before we even set the call, have a toast pop up here, right? So I'm gonna just simply show a toaster here, and this will basically say call created successfully, And what I'm gonna do here, guys, is I'm gonna import it, and here on press of the notification, you can do the copy slug. Remember, copy slug will go ahead and show a copied call ID to clipboard. So easy as. Now we can copy when we tap the call ID to share. There we go. Easy as. I think we need to add. I actually think we need to add permission to do that. Even. I'm just checking inside app.json on my other build. Do we need to ask to use the clipboard? No. As far as I'm aware, I don't think we do. Info plist. NS camera usage description, NS microphone usage description. And okay, so here's a little trick. If your app ever crashes and it says, Expo dev app crashed, it'll say reopen or it'll say report. Click report, and I guarantee if you open it up, it would have said, if you looked at it closely, it says the app needs to ask for permissions to inside of the NS camera usage description section, something like that. And that's where I first found it as well. So it's all about basically exploring and debugging all of the builds. And let's do it again, because that was a final change that needed to be done. And let's do this one as well. Let's cancel that one. And you know what? I'll keep doing this. Okay, so cancel all of the builds for now, and I'm going to do a refresh. And by the time we finish the app, our development builds will be done. We can debug it, and while we debug it, we can go ahead and do the backend deployment to Vercel. There we go. All right. There we go. So you see, this is live. This is why React Native live streaming is much more chaotic, because of the debugging. But your boy's here. I ain't going anywhere. I'm not quitting. I'm here to show you how we get past it. Right? I've cancelled. I think I've over cancelled things. Right. So this is kind of a minute or reopen. But anyway, it's fine, right? I'm telling you the truth. That's how honest I am. I'm telling you the truth for that, right? But in this case, we're gonna have a toggle for all calls or my calls, and it's simply gonna show all of the calls. Now, if you have got a call that has people inside of it, it will go ahead and allow you to click into that call to join the call as well. Okay. Once we've done that, everything will be done and it will work. It will work. Famous last words. Okay. So with that in mind, let that do its thing. Yeah, Android build, queue progress starting in about 10 minutes, right? So that's fine. This is like everything's on this moment of working. Okay, so at this point, let's go ahead and go to our index and call to refresh to show the latest things that have been added in. So we're going to implement call to refresh. We're going to have my calls toggle, which is basically going to be that toggle at the top. So my calls versus all calls. We're going to do that. And then we're also going to have sign out, which we've done. Okay, cool. So we've got our little prep work done. Let's start doing stuff. Okay, cool. So first up, let's fetch all the calls, right? Well, as soon as the component mounts, I want to fetch all the calls. So first up, how do we do this? Well, use effect. Simple as, right? Use effect. We want to run it when the component mounts for the first time, or if there's no user, return. Next step, we're going to query for the calls. Now, this is a step that I want you to pay attention to, okay? So we're going to query for the calls. So client.query calls, and then this returns all of the calls, right, from the client. So we'll query the API for calls matching the given filters, and inside I pass an object. Here I can pass in something called filter conditions. Okay, now here for the filter conditions, I'm gonna say if is my calls, then I'm gonna add in a bunch of filters. So right now, by default, we have no filter conditions. Okay, but what I can do here is I can say is my calls, then it's going to do this set of filters, otherwise it's going to do that set of filters. So otherwise it's going to do nothing else. It will have some filters included. And now inside of it, I ain't going to go into too much detail with it, but really, so it will become real time. I haven't done that. I've done a pull to refresh mechanism, but I'm just being honest with you, but that's how you can go ahead and do it, right? And then on the front end, you may have edge cases where someone leaves a call and there's like I want all of the active calls to be always at the top. So I'm always going to do a client side little sort here of the, what's it called, based on the participant count. So if somebody is inside, if basically all the calls where someone's active, I'm going to push those to the top of the screen. So that's the ones that we want to do.
Pure lane jump.
Cool. So, and then we set calls to sorted calls. So this will give me all the calls, right? Simple as that. Now, when we have a list inside of React Native, the more efficient way of rendering a list is actually called a flat list. Okay, so a flat list is how we will render this out. So if we go down to hello world, you're signed in, we don't need that anymore. We're past them levels. We can say, which is going to be basically handle refresh. Okay, and the handle refresh function, fairly straightforward, guys. It's basically going to go ahead and have a wrapper around the fetch calls. So set is refreshing true, await fetch calls, set is refreshing false. Okay, you could actually rewrite this using the use transition hook and then use the is pending. I'm pseudocoding here. So you could go ahead and do this. You can have is pending, you start transition, basically wrap this inside of it, and then your is pending would be safe to assume that you're using it, but again, it's really down to how far you want to take it. That would always be correct based on the, and then we have the render item, and this is the basically the main thing. Okay, so rendering item is where we need it all to basically work the way we want it, right? So here, first up, we're gonna have touchable opacity. So that's the first thing, touchable opacity, and that is going to be a button, right? Now this one is basically going to resemble all of this, right? So this is where all of that stuff's going to come into play. So first up, let's just say a bit of text and the item ID. So just to see if we've got something on screen. Now really hope that these builds are done. Come on, I want to see this app now. It's been a minute since we've seen the app. Oh, come on, man. All right, we've got to give it time. We'll give it time. I should have really done that before, but anyway, you can see where it takes patience. But anyway, okay, it's fine. We're going to build this layout. So this bit right here, okay? Well, first up, Before we do that, should we do the talk? No, let's stick on task, right? Let's stay with it, right? Touchable opacity. So first up, touchable opacity, the key, on press, and disabled, right? So touchable opacity,
30 seconds left.
key is item ID, on press is handle join room when we pass the item ID. So if you click it, just like, and because that has been built in the way that we've set it up, it will work. Well, hopefully, I'm putting a big gamble here on that working. I've coded it. I'm pretty sure this is all gonna work, right? So in this case, now when we have that, when we click on this, it will basically, if you think about it, what it's gonna do is it's gonna go to the join call basically. As in, it does the same. Basically, if it's empty, phone off. Otherwise, it'll say phone call. Okay. And then we've got the image. The image will be the created by image. This is the user's image, basically. All right, so let's go and pop that one in. We import image from React Native. Get rid of the text there as well. And then we have the view. So this bit, a bit more of a trickier one because it's quite a big chunk. But I'll try and break it down the best I can. So we've got a view. And firstly, this view is going to have flex of 1. And it's going to be justifying the content space between. So right now, what we're actually building is this. Okay. So we're actually building that chunk right now. So everything inside this view would be relating to that. Okay. So here we have another view nested. Okay. So we actually have another markers is where we've pasted in. So it's just 2 text values. The creator that name, or it will just have the email address if you don't have the name. So you will not have the name if you signed in via just username and a password, via email and password. If you signed in via Google, it will have a name, right? So use the name, otherwise it will use your first part of your email and it'll split it at the @ sign. And then underneath it will have the email address. Okay, so that's the first bit. And then after that, we have another view. So again, I hope these little markers are actually helping out a bit. I think they are. Right, so between these markers, PC, make sure you check the report. I guarantee it could be regarding the permissions, right? Okay, so is it done yet? Oh, come on. All right, but yes, at this point, what would have been way quicker is if I scanned it with my phone, but stupidly I'm on the iOS beta. But in 3 days, WWDC or whatever it is, the iOS event comes out. I'm going way off topic, but yeah, hopefully I should be off that, so the future videos won't get affected by it. Okay, so we have text. Next up, we have a view with a bunch of stuff inside of it. So here we have, I'm going to do again our markers. These are just to help you see where I'm working between. So if I get rid of the old markers, I'm going to make a few mistakes otherwise. Basically, what I can do is I can pop in this chunk because that's actually what I need. So, almost log. Okay, so here, what I'm going to do is, between these 2 markers, this is what I need. And firstly, let's import the vector icon. So here we go. I can show you now. That's better actually. So in between the 2 markers, what I did is I popped in a view. Alright, so this view goes from here to the end of the marker. And then we have a flex direction row, align item center. We're checking if the participant count is 0. If it's 0, this part will say call ended in red text. Okay? This part here will say call ended in